And that means, again, populations are becoming inbred and isolated. I'm seeing remnant populations or prairies that I've been seeing for over 40 years. Well, I'm seeing species just disappear. The prairies are being managed. There's not woody encroachment, there's not invasive species, but species are disappearing. I think it's because the lack of genetic variation and inbreeding. Plants can get inbred. If the only plants that you can mate with are your relatives, because there's no other way to mate with any other plants because they're 50 miles away, you're going to have inbreeding. And inbreeding always leads to the expression of, we call it deleterious alleles, bad genes. Expressions of bad genes happens in inbreeding, and that can cause mortality then. So that's my recommendation. And I've always told people, if you want to do a planting and you need help with the seed design, I will do that for you for free. I won't charge you a dime to help you design a seed mix, because I want you to do it the right way. All right, last thing. That's why remnants are incredibly valuable. All right, I'm down to the last few slides. So I've given you lots of reasons why you should appreciate Prairie. I talked about ecosystem services. Now I'm saying Prairie can help you, each of us personally, on a personal level. I think. Now, I might be biased. I spent a lot of time in prairies. And I've become fairly favorably inclined by them, I guess you might say. But prairie roots are deep. You see that. Compass plant there. This blazing star is out at Tipton Prairie, actually. This is the dotted blazing star, which is a Great Plains species. That tells you just how cool Tipton Prairie is. It's one of the easternmost locations in Iowa for that, for that dotted blazing star right here. That's a Great Plains species. In Iowa, it's mostly found in the Loess Hills. Why is it growing at Tipton Prairie? Because of that gravelly, sandy, dry soil up on top of that hill, making a microclimate that is appropriate for blazing star. But, why does it keep going ahead? I think it must be on some kind of automatic thing. So, what I'm saying is establish your own deep roots in your community. I'm sure many of you have. That's good advice. Prairie does it. Prairies are really diverse. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how many animals, insects, and plants might be at Tipton Prairie. Each plant species could have at least 10 different insects associated with it. So 180 plants times 10 is almost 2,000 insect species, perhaps. We don't know. That research isn't being done. But we can embrace that diversity in our lives. The splendor and grandeur of a prairie is subtle. It's not like these huge mountains that are so majestic. You just stand up on a mountaintop and you just look in awe at that magnificent landscape. Yeah, or the ocean crashing in on a beach. But prairies are just, to me, are just as awe-inspiring. But they're in their own subtle way, though. That little ambush bug in the milkweed, or the prairie-fringed orchid, a very rare species. We know prairies store energy and organic matter in the soil. They're efficient, they're frugal. They are adapted to live in some of the most inhospitable environments in the world in terms of climate stress, droughts, fires. They store energy in that deep, dark soil. Not wasteful. Prairies are the exact and best example of what agriculture should do, how agriculture should work. Prairies are the example of that. Because prairies support huge numbers of species with huge amount of productivity, while at the same time building soil for the future. And finally, to me it is the wilderness, even here in Iowa. I get out on a prairie remnant, even if it's Tipton Prairie, only 3 acres. And I'm sort of swept away to what that landscape used to be like. I know I'm walking on a piece of land that has been like this for thousands of years. That hits me, and to me that's going to church in a way. that's really important. Spend time in wild places. Disconnect from computers and cell phones. Lauren Isley says, it is a commonplace of all religious thought, even the most primitive, that humans seeking visions and insight must go apart from his or her fellows and live for a time in the wilderness quest of the Native Americans. John Muir says, everybody needs beauty as well as bread, places to play in and pray in, where nature may heal and cheer and give strength to body and soul alike. Prairies can do that for us, as other natural areas too. I'm just more in favor of prairies. And that is it. Sorry for the extra length, but we had a lot of good questions. So,
well, wait, before you answer questions, I'm going to say two things. One is that this show will be on YouTube. We're trying to get things up within 3 days of the program, and this one may take a little longer because the person who is in charge of it isn't here today, but it'll be up within a couple weeks. If you search on YouTube for Greene County, Iowa, you have to use the Iowa index because there's another Greene County Historical Society, the Greene County Iowa Historical Society. You can find this, so if you know somebody who would have liked to have come today and couldn't, they can watch it, or if you want to see anything of it again, you can. I'm also going to pass the hat this time. The Historical Society never passes the hat anymore for programs. So if you come to any of the other programs on our calendar, we won't pass the hat. But we're going to do it today in honor of the Friends of Greene County Parks, because the Friends of Greene County Parks is a new organization and we're trying to do things to enhance the local parks. We're working on a project about signs now and a project about archery at Squirrel Hollow Park. And we've got all kinds of things planned, and we're basically trying to help the Conservation Board with some alternative ways of fundraising. So I'm going to pass these around, and if you can put something in it, do. If you can't, no need to feel guilty, but thank you if you can. And I would like to give you this. Thank you very much. We appreciate it more than I can say. And now you can ask your question.
Tom?
yes.
Talking about organic matter, farmers are always trying to build up their organic matter in the soil. What kind of organic matter, when this stuff's been there for years, what kind of a figure do you see?
It's been done. You can go to Remnant Prairies and you can actually measure what the natural organic level of native prairie soils is. As I recall, off the top of my head, it's like 8 to 10% organic matter in native prairie soils.
So it's taken a long time to build that.
Oh yeah, it's been happening for, well again, for our prairies, pretty much since over the last 5,000 years or so.
So for me to build my soil is a long...
Well, to build up really high, yeah. but again, that's in a system again where maybe again, one that's being directed by humans, you might be able to enhance some of those features. Obviously, by adding more organic matter in waste of manure or something, that would be sort of a natural in a prairie. Of course, adding manure, that you certainly have feces from the animals that live there, but I'm talking like you take manure from a livestock operation and you go out and add it to your field. That's adding a lot more organic matter than what the natural animals in the prairie would. So you could be increasing the rate of organic matter into your soil probably at a quicker rate than what happened naturally. But as I again recall the figures, if I recall them correctly, 8 to 10% is what the native prairies had, and most farms now have lost half of that.
They're 3 to 4.
Yeah, they're below 5%. So that is pretty alarming, because that is a huge part of the soil health, the organic matter, and the ability of that soil to hold water. The amount of water that can be held in the soil is not just dependent on organic matter, it's soil texture too, but organic matter is another part of that ability to hold water. Of course, the organic matter is the food that keeps what I call the soil food web operating, which is all of the organisms. The millions of bacteria and protozoa and fungi and all the other animals that are living in that soil and are providing the nutrients by breaking down organic matter. They break down the organic matter to release the nutrients that plants use. And again, if you don't have organic matter, then that soil food web is going to be compromised. So, yeah, whatever you can do to build back organic matter that's the model of Prairie. Build organic matter at the same time as you're providing support for all of those species.
But it's been a slow process.
Yeah, definitely a slow process. Under natural conditions, it is a slow process. I mean, they went from zero organic matter after the glacier left, of course, and it was just gravel and sand and silt and clay, to 10%. Well, glaciers left about 10,000 years ago, but Prairie didn't come in and really get established well until about 5,000 years ago. So over 5,000 years, we built 10%, I guess.
So I'm trying to build it up in a few years, and it's a tough battle.
But I think, yeah, really good use of cover crops, use of manure, if you can get it. That's going to create organic matter faster than what nature did.
No